Well, if you ever needed proof that we're led by dangerous, incompetent weirdos, that's what they're planning to do now, here in the UK. British scientists are launching a £40 million government-funded geoengineering experiment to literally test dimming the sun in the name of solving climate change. The government's Advanced Research and Invention Agency, or ARIA, aims to block sunlight reaching the Earth's surface with projects that include spraying aerosols in the atmosphere to make clouds brighter, which will then reflect sunshine. What could go wrong? If successful, ARIA thinks the plan could temporarily reduce surface temperatures, which would then give humans more time to reduce carbon emissions before climate change sends us all to hell. Aerosols would be sprayed into the atmosphere using boats or aeroplanes, which is interestingly a similar process to the one parroted by so-called conspiracy theorists who have been complaining for years about what they call chemtrails in our skies, like these on your screen now. Those pesky conspiracy theorists again. Anyway, leading scientists are now raising the alarm on British plans to block the sun. Raymond Pierre Humbert, a professor of planetary physics at the University of Oxford, said this month that the UK's gamble on solar geoengineering is like using aspirin for cancer. Calling the project barking mad, he went on, "Since 2021 commentary from ourselves, the situation has grown far worse, with tens of millions of dollars pouring into the scheme, mostly from private donors. Bill Gates was an early backer, and the tech and fintech industries have piled on since. But we never imagined that the UK government itself would be leading the charge into what is almost universally recognised as the most dangerous and destabilising source of research. Field trials that risk developing dangerous technology and paving the way for deployment." Did you catch the name there? Bill Gates. I know many people watching this now will be rolling their eyes at the mention of the Microsoft billionaire once again, but it is an indisputable fact that Gates does have his hands in many controversial cookie jars. This was Tucker Carlson in the US some years ago, raising the alarm on America's own geoengineering madness.
And that's why Bill Gates is now backing something called sun-dimming technology that would reflect sunlight out of the Earth's atmosphere, causing global cooling.
Bill Gates is backing the first high-altitude experiment of one radical climate change solution, creating a massive chemical cloud that could cool the Earth. It's called solar geoengineering, and it's highly controversial. It would look something like this. Thousands of planes would fly very high and use nozzles to inject millions of tons of light-reflecting particles into the stratosphere. It would create a thin chemical cloud of those particles around the whole planet, blocking some sunlight from reaching the surface.
All right, so what do we know about ARIA, the whack job public body that wants to block British sunshine? Well, Michael E. Mann, who is the Presidential Distinguished Professor at the University of Pennsylvania, wrote in The Guardian last month, ARIA, with an initial budget of £800 million, arose from the fevered dreams of Dominic Cummings at the height of the Boris Johnson crony capitalism years. After a rocky start for the office, Cummings' legacy lives on in the current Labour government, which seems to have lost track of what ARIA is doing. ARIA, a wannabe clone of the US Defence Advanced Projects Agency, works in darkness. It's not subject to freedom of information requests. It gives a pot of money to each of its directors to direct expenditure largely as they wish, with only minimal peer review. The director in charge of the solar geoengineering project is Mark Symes, an electrochemist with no background in climate science. Very good. Well, that fills you with confidence, doesn't it? And ARIA's thesis document online, which you can go and find yourself, is titled Exploring Options for Cooling the Earth. It's been described as chilling, outlining how the project is going all in on the supposed need for sun-blocking field trials without making the case for what could happen if this was fully deployed all over the world. What would happen to crops, to farms, to rainfall and food supplies? What would happen if the technology got into the wrong hands? In America, British plans to block the sun have even caught the attention of Donald Trump's White House. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the US Secretary of Health and Human Services, tweeted just a few days ago, "We'll soon end this crime against humanity and our planet and bring justice to the plutocrats who are perpetuating this mass uncontrolled experiment." Meanwhile, the aforementioned Professor Mark Symes, who's leading the ARIA programme in the UK, said the looming threat of climate tipping points was a strong reason to research solar geoengineering. He added, "Having spoken to hundreds of researchers, we concluded that a critical missing part of our understanding was real-world physical data. These would show us whether any of these potential approaches would actually work and what their effects might be." But I'm sorry, I'm just going to say tonight outright, I just can't go along with that train of thought. This looks and sounds like a totally anti-human, anti-nature idea that would spark God knows what consequences for humans, the animal kingdom, and indeed Mother Nature. And it should be consigned to the dustbin of history.